The life of an artist is an adventure, and I love it. And my question is, what am I capable of creating with it?
Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to be carving this beautiful chunk of Italian marble into a polar bear. If you don't know me, my name is Andrew Gable. I'm a Canadian artist working primarily with stone. I've been an artist my whole life and was introduced to stone carving around 12 years ago. Since then, I've been creating and selling my original stone carvings as a full-time professional artist. This particular block of marble was an offcut from my larger marble polar bear sculpture that I spent 7 months carving. I ended up with a few smaller blocks that I've carved into smaller versions of the big piece.
So the conversation today that I want to talk about is the artist lifestyle, because my lifestyle as an artist, because I think, I prioritize different things, and I think I always have. And so that's why I wanted to be an artist even later into my life, into my 30s. I started carving when I was about 31, I think. I loved the idea of being able to make money from my art and live off my art. So that's the question. That's the question is like, what kind of life do I want to create? And I think it's you got to be careful what you see online on social media, because there's these very specific types of lifestyles that are put out there as, oh, this is what you want to attain and want to achieve. But everyone is so unique and so different.
Let's check back in with the carving here. I'm first busy cutting a nice flat base on the bottom of the piece. I'm using my big 9-inch grinder with a 7-inch blade. The larger blade helps keep things nice and flat. And I'm also removing the edge of the marble here, which I won't need, and just getting things ready for the drawing. Honestly, it's pretty surreal that I'm a marble artist. It's funny because when I was in art school, one of my favorite artists was the great Italian Renaissance artist Michelangelo. He was a master of painting, drawing, and of course known for his incredible marble sculptures. However, I never really dreamed of being a sculptor. I thought me becoming an artist meant being a painter, and yes, while I do still paint and draw, sculpture and carving just seemed to naturally flow for me from the day I was introduced to it. I even fight it sometimes and move away from it and do other things, but it always seems to find its way back into my life, or I find my way back to it. My point is that it has not been a straight line, and sometimes I find myself resisting the very thing that is actually good for me. It's a strange thing. Life has a way of sitting you down and saying, listen, this is good for you. You are going to be doing this. This is going to be good for your life. Perhaps it's like choosing a carving blade. Sometimes the one you've chosen is not the way. It kind of works, but ultimately it makes more sense to go with the sharper blade. It just cuts better. It makes things flow much easier.
I have to constantly remind myself and ask myself, what do I like? What do I enjoy, right? I enjoy this. I'm sitting out in my studio right now. I got trees here all around me. It's like a semi-outdoor studio. I'm out in nature. I hear the birds, and I'm making art. I'm carving sculptures. I'm being creative. That's it for me. Like, I don't really need any more than that, so to speak, right? I love that. So to have that as an element, as part of my life, is something I always prioritized, I suppose. And so then there's the question, well, what am I capable of creating with my art? And when I say that, I also mean financially, because I'm not ignorant to the idea that this is a system that requires money to function. Fantastic. So let's consider that. In the first half of my career, I didn't consider it at all. And then when I started thinking about it and considering it, then it started becoming more part of my equation. I started selling work.
As I mentioned earlier, this is a commission piece for a collector in the UK. Now, I can't remember if she reached out to me before, during, or after I had already completed this piece. I had previously completed a commission for this client of one of these smaller marble polar bear offcuts. This one was a bit bigger and was going to have more detail than the earlier piece, so I was excited that she connected with me again, because now she would get a piece with more detailing as a compliment to her previous work. Speaking of complimenting, one of the greatest compliments I receive as an artist is when a previous collector reconnects and wants another piece. To be honest, oftentimes when I sell something, I do have fears and insecurities kind of come up, and I wonder, do they like it? Was it good enough for them? I hope it was good enough for them. And I'm sure artists out there can relate. So when a collector wants another piece, this is a testament of the service and product I've already provided for them, and that they were happy enough to come back for more. This is exactly the kind of relationships I want to foster as an artist and human. A relationship of trust and mutual benefit where the value added is such that future exchanges make sense and are welcomed. As with many of my carvings, I tend to pull the head and face out first and then work back into the rest of the sculpture. You can see here I'm already getting into the mouth details, however, I will say I only do this when I'm confident with my proportions. It also pays not to get too far ahead of yourself with the details, so you can make those more major adjustments in the form if you need to. When I'm working with designs that are more complex or new, where I'm just figuring out how everything fits together, I will hold off on detailing until I've worked out how all the forms are going to fit together. With this classic walking polar bear design, which I've done numerous times, I already have a strong understanding of the forms and am able to get into the details without risking having to make any major or unpredictable adjustments.
There's a lifestyle aspect. I'm rich because look at, I get to sit out in nature and I get to create and express and do art. I mean, as an experience, that's really high value for me. And so I'm like, well, what kind of life do I want to create? What kind of life do I want to live? You know, forget about what you see out there. What is going to be enjoyable for me? What is going to really be something that I love doing, right? And prioritizing that and striving, I guess, towards creating that. And so here I am using my art I'm creating and selling art to generate money as a practical component in creating this lifestyle. My wife and I recently purchased a property, 4 acres, and it's just over there. And it's basically right beside this one. Because being close to nature, being on land is something I always wanted to do. And it's been kind of scary to do that. Because ultimately I'm financing as I go. I'm selling work, I'm reinvesting into my art business, investing into the kind of life I want to create and build. So we got this land, and all it has was a tiny house on it, had a lagoon on it, has an old well which we have to sort of clean out and redo. And so it's like these really basic things. And right now we're in the process of getting electricity on there. My goal, my task, is to continue building and creating this lifestyle. And now there's this other element where we have this property. Every day I come out here to make this art, to create this lifestyle, hopefully build the utmost potential lifestyle that I can, keeping in mind what the questions like, what do I really personally enjoy, and don't get distracted with what you see online. The goal obviously is to be able to build my studio out there, and now we're close to nature, now we're on the land, and it's scary because, you know, it's not necessarily what someone would envision as, oh, this is the type of lifestyle that you want to achieve and you want to strive for. Like, look on social media, I don't have a big flashy car, or I don't have like the big mansion. That's not to say that that isn't a goal that someone shouldn't strive for. Like, of course, do your thing, right? But it's also contextual. Like, where am I standing? What is my purpose? What is my values, right? Where am I really at? What resources do I have access to and available? Like, you got to build from where you're at. You got to bloom right where you're standing. Under all this fear and all these sort of layers of expectations that I feel like I put on myself and society puts on me, or I accept, you know, society putting on me. There's like all these layers of these experiences, ideas, opinions, judgments happening. But underneath that, there is this sense of, wow, this is actually really cool. Like, this is so interesting. This is an adventure. And I was thinking, why wouldn't I be doing this? My whole life has been an adventure and a risk. Like, creating art and selling it, there's no guarantee that my art's going to sell tomorrow. Like, I'm making this. This is not sold. This is going to go into a gallery, or someone's going to contact me and see it on my website or whatever to buy it. And I'm going to use that to reinvest. And I've been doing that for 12 years. The life of an artist is an adventure, and I love it. And my question is, what am I capable of creating with it? 10 years ago, I didn't even think I could make a living as an artist. When I first got the opportunity to start carving these pieces and selling them in a gallery, I'd never sold like work consistently before. I sold paintings here and there. The most I'd ever sold a piece for was maybe $2,000. I was pretty young, and I went to art school, but I didn't have like an example of, oh, you can go and sell your art for hundreds of thousands of dollars and anything like that. So I was just kind of figuring it out on the fly. So the question is, what can I create? And that's still the question today, like, what's possible, right? What's possible? So I'm always looking at different models of what artists are doing and how they're building their careers and how much money they're making and how they're actually doing it, right? Whether it's passive income or, you're creating and selling original work, or all these different ideas. Social media is a good one, right? YouTube, ad revenue. The question is, what am I capable of creating? I never thought I could make a living as an artist at some point. I mean, initially I did, and then I sort of got into my later 20s and thought, maybe I can't do this, and maybe you can't make a living selling art. Well, so when I got into the gallery and I saw how much these pieces were going for, and then I started selling. I remember when I sold my first sculpture, and I'd sold it for more money than I'd ever thought I could sell work for. And I was also working in the gallery and selling art myself. And so I would be selling art for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and it sort of reframed my understanding. It sort of broke me through a ceiling that I had put on myself, right? And I know I've got ceilings still there that I need to break through. What's the next level, right? So here we have this property, and the idea is I want to use my creative skills, my art business, my expression as an artist to finance and build and help create and build this life that we're building out there. And there is no guarantees, but you kind of just put one foot in front of the other and keep going, and be strategic, learn from others. It's not like a blind faith. Like, I've proven that I can sell my work over the years, and sometimes it feels like a blind faith because you're doing something completely new. I like the idea. I like the artist lifestyle. My lifestyle. You don't even call it an artist lifestyle. You just call it your personal lifestyle. What are you trying to create, right? Anyways, happy creating. So now I'm getting to the final stages of this marble sculpture. It's turning out wonderfully. Sanding is fun because you can really start to see the beautiful veining in this Italian marble. Marble is such an incredible stone. It's much harder than soapstone, so when I'm sanding, I begin with a rougher 36 grit, and I take care with that very first layer of sanding. Sometimes you only start noticing the areas that you missed during those finer grits and final stages, and then you have to backtrack a bit to the earlier grits. So when I start sanding, I really take my time with this first layer and make sure I get all those tool marks out. When I started carving my large polar bear, I aligned the stone so the striations would run horizontally across the form. It was the same thing for this smaller piece. I prefer this alignment to accentuate the form of the polar bear as well as to highlight the way the striations flow and curve around and through the undulations of the form. You can say it was an aesthetic choice or design element choice that I get to make as an artist. Now I'm just doing a bit of wet sanding here. You can really see the color of this stone when it's wet. It actually won't be this intense when complete, but will have what I experience as a more calm and elegant finish. I've been using this Renaissance crystalline wax to finish my white marble pieces. Initially when applied, the stone does darken a little bit due to the moisture in the wax, but once it begins to dry in a day or two, the color intensity calms down to a more pale white, and I find creates an absolutely stunning and elegant finish.
thank you everyone for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe to support my channel and my art expression. I appreciate you all, and see you in the next video.